Buenos días, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos. Por favor, disculpad los problemas técnicos que hemos tenido. Vamos a dar comienzo al evento. Bueno, mi nombre es Richard Lebel y soy el director de la jornada educativa Theatre in Education. Hoy tendré el placer y el gran honor de conducir el evento. En nombre del Patronato Municipal de Educación y Bibliotecas del Ayuntamiento de Zaragoza y de la Universidad Popular, quiero daros la bienvenida a este evento en el que reunimos a educadores nacionales e internacionales, expertos en la integración del teatro en la educación. La jornada educativa Theatre in Education ha sido pensada como un espacio en el que podamos compartir las bases metodológicas que fundamentan el teatro como un enfoque multidisciplinario e innovador que da respuesta a los retos de la educación en nuestro contexto actual, en el que la educación debe estar centrada en el desarrollo de las competencias clave para el aprendizaje a lo largo de la vida, mientras se promueve el desarrollo y la mejora de las habilidades blandas, como la creatividad, la comunicación, la cooperación y la resolución de problemas. Estrechamente todo esto ligado también a las habilidades del siglo XXI, las cuales se enfocan en el desarrollo de la parte socioemocional del individuo, lo que es fundamental para impulsar el éxito personal y el profesional. Espero que esta mañana de formación sea de gran provecho para todos y que puedan llevar grandes reflexiones metodológicas, ejemplos de éxito e ideas prácticas, pero sobre todo la inspiración para integrar el teatro en vuestros contextos educativos. Para dar inicio a la jornada, me gustaría invitar al escenario a Sara Fernández, consejera de Cultura, Educación y Turismo del Ayuntamiento de Zaragoza.
Bueno, muy buenos días a todos, especialmente a todos aquellos que habéis venido de fuera. Sois bienvenidos a esta ciudad. Welcome, ese es todo en inglés que voy a decir, porque ya veréis que no pronuncio igual que Richard. Soy de francés. Para mí es un honor, la verdad, daros la bienvenida a Zaragoza, a esta jornada que ha organizado con tantísimo cariño, como estáis viendo, el Patronato Municipal de Educación y Bibliotecas del Ayuntamiento y más concretamente la Universidad Popular, un área dentro del Ayuntamiento que la verdad es que genera una red que yo creo que es muy importante, una comunidad que es muy importante entre todos los alumnos, con ese aprendizaje también a lo largo de toda la vida, tan útil como decía Richard, a nivel profesional, pero muy especialmente a nivel personal. O sea que enhorabuena a todos los compañeros de la Universidad Popular. Y para nosotros la verdad es que es un hito colaborar en el Erasmus Plus, porque es la primera vez que tanto el patronato como la Universidad Popular colaboran en el Erasmus Plus, en este caso a través del curso de inglés, a través del teatro, el English Flow Theatre. Hoy docentes y profesionales de la educación de Portugal, de Italia, de Francia, del Reino Unido, de Estados Unidos y de España os reunís para explorar cómo el teatro puede ser una herramienta útil, poderosa, a través de la cual se puede enseñar inglés. Más de 100 personas de nuestra comunidad educativa os habéis sumado a esta jornada, o sea que muchas gracias también a los que venís de aquí, lo que refleja el entusiasmo que tenéis y el compromiso que tenéis con la innovación pedagógica. Yo creo que eso es algo que a mí me gusta mucho poner en valor en el área educativa, que los profesores os preocupáis continuamente de estar en continuo reciclaje, no solamente en cuanto a los conocimientos de las áreas que impartís, sino especialmente de las herramientas, de la tecnología, de la innovación educativa, que al final os ayuda a transmitir mejor esos conocimientos. El teatro, está claro que no solo es una forma de arte, es una vía fundamental, también lo decía Richard, para fomentar esas habilidades blandas, la empatía, la creatividad, la comunicación, que afortunadamente hoy en día ya se ha revelado que son tan importantes como decía antes, como los propios conocimientos, porque al final nos enriquecen a los alumnos y también incluso a los profesores para crear esa interrelación entre los dos. Integrar el teatro en la enseñanza del inglés lo que ofrece a los estudiantes es una experiencia de aprendizaje mucho más rica, más importante, significativa, algo de lo que la Universidad Popular puede presumir no solamente en este, sino en todos los cursos que imparten las instalaciones que tenemos repartidas por toda la ciudad. Agradeceros a todos los que habéis hecho posible esta jornada, los organizadores, que ya sabemos que detrás de todo esto hay mucho trabajo y muchas horas de preparación. Espero que sea una jornada muy productiva. A los que habéis venido de fuera, espero también que tengáis un ratito para poder disfrutar de la ciudad y de todas las actividades culturales que preparamos, y que disfrutéis mucho del intercambio, de todas las experiencias, y que salgáis de aquí con ganas de poner en práctica en vuestro día a día lo que hayáis aprendido. Muchas gracias y a disfrutar de la jornada.
Agradecemos nuevamente por su presencia a esta jornada y por sus palabras a Sara Fernández, consejera de Cultura, Educación y Turismo del Ayuntamiento de Zaragoza. Well, it's time to switch to English as we prepare to introduce our first team of speakers. The presentation, entitled Theatre, a Stage for Inclusion, aims at exemplifying a way of working with theatre that is greatly focused on the individual and one that gives great value to the process throughout the project as much as the final performance. Please give a warm welcome to the stage from Portugal to Domitila Cardoso, Director of the Senior University of Jornada, Vocational Pedagogical Advisor and member of the Teacher Association of Jornada in Portugal, and also to Monica Lara, professional actress, drama teacher, and the Senior University of Jornada ensemble.
You need to step.
Yes, perhaps. Can you put the presentation, please? Okay, good morning. We are the Portuguese team, and we'll talk about theatre stage for inclusion and the tool for inclusion. We are an institution at Almada, near Lisbon. We have 20 years of existence, and we have 600 students. The alternative theatre option at the university has been running for 10 years at our university. Can you put the please? No? So, we believe and we know that theatre promotes inclusion and it changes lives, because our experience told us that. We have people with depression and other mental disease who have been advised by doctors to go to theatre classes, and they are happy, as my colleague will show you. This is our intergenerational team group. We have seniors, but also we include students of the schools. We think that the theatre provides a platform to people with disabilities to express themselves, build confidence, and change societal perceptions. That increases the empathy. My English is not so good, as you know, as you see. Theatre promotes empathy, understanding, and acceptance among diverse communities that we show. This is our class. This is our seniors. Some of them, not all. With theatre, we pretend, with the drama classes, we pretend encourage interaction, active listening, and clear articulation. I must go to these classes. I am not in this class. Provide the space to explore feelings and develop empathy for others. Teachers teach collaboration, cooperation, and respect for individual contributions. Everybody can contribute with something for the group. The other one, please. How it promoted this? Creating a space where people from diverse backgrounds can tell their own stories, encourage understanding and appreciation of different perspectives and experiences, building bridges between communities, with immigrants, with people with mental disease, for instance, and develop the sense of belonging, a group, a community. This is our some posters of our seniors plays. Mulheres que voam, like
women that fly.
Yes, women that fly. They fly. We have the people with 85 years playing.
85 years, my student was this one, and she memorized all the texts. It's amazing.
So they change with others the emotions, the thoughts, build connections. That's what we do in the theatre.
És muito saudável também.
Continue. So, breaking barriers with it's not people, young people and senior people. Breaking this barrier with the age. Some days, nowadays there are these people young and seniors. No, we don't want that. We put them together. You can. This is the goals we pretend achieve. Collaboration, respect for the other, diversity, inclusion, shared goals. Okay? You can, yes. This is a play. My colleague will speak. Can you speak about this play?
Drama is this is the play they we start. It calls the party.
Yeah.
It calls the play was called The Party, and everybody it's neighborhoods, and everybody improvised the text. Todo el mundo ha improvisado el tema. Entonces eran todos vecinos y ahí se pasaba algo, desde lo más dramático a lo más cómico. Y cada uno hablaba de sus experiencias. Ha sido porque yo siempre que hago algo con mis alumnos, el público está integrado, porque el público también participa, o al final o en el inicio. Y eso hace con que las personas que van a ver los trabajos de mis alumnos, los ejercicios teatrales, se sientan en el propio palco, ¿no? Y esa es una forma de hacer la inclusión del público con mis actores.
Now, is the group is promoting diversity, tolerance, and the self-expression. By the storytelling, the power of storytelling can facilitate the dialogue and communication building also. Communication, communities achieve this relationship, interpersonal relationship, and we think that communities work best. We can check with the answer. No, before, sorry. Communities work best when all members, all its members, are fully included, and a good school is an inclusive school. Theatre, we think, is an additional tool to communicate, learn, and practice tolerance. Now my colleague will speak about the methodology and the process that she would use.
A ver, que soy pequeña. Voy a empezar con algo que me deja pensar. Todos tenemos el derecho de sermos iguales. Cuando la diferencia no nos inferioriza, tenemos el derecho de sermos distintos cuando la igualdad nos descaracteriza. Y entonces, lo que trabajamos aquí, ahora en este proyecto de Erasmus, que se me siente pequeñita, lo que trabajamos aquí es la inclusión, y la inclusión de mis seniors y de las personas con quienes estoy trabajando que tienen problemas de doenças mentales, ¿cierto? Y entonces la memoria es algo que los inhibe de hacer el teatro, pero en mi clase eso no pasa porque cada uno es protagonista a su modo, a su forma, y entonces todos ellos escriben sus textos y yo, como profesora, lanzo el reto. Vamos a hablar sobre las cosas que les molestan, vamos a hablar las cosas que les encantan, vamos a hablar sobre todo aquello que queremos decir al público, vamos a reivindicar, vamos a ser mujeres contra la sociedad machista, vamos a ser personas que no queremos que la política nos cambie las vidas, las guerras nos cambien las vidas. Y entonces, ese es the power, es empoderamiento de las mujeres, de los hombres, de las personas y de los seres humanos. Y eso para mí es lo más importante de nuestro trabajo, porque estamos ahí siempre. Yo protesto contra Trump, yo protesto con lo que está pasando en nuestro país. Y todo el mundo va hablando de las cosas que les molestan. Hablamos de los miedos, hablamos de las historias de su infancia. Y así hacemos el trabajo, es progresivo, porque todas las temáticas lo tenemos muy dramáticas o muy cómicas. Y los espectáculos funcionan así. Tenemos momentos en que tenemos el público llorando con nosotros, y hay otros momentos en que tenemos el público reíndo después de llorar. Y ese es el trabajo. Y poner siempre en mis obras, cuando trabajo en todos los teatros, el público ven al palco, ven a danzar con mis alumnos, ven a comer. En este de fiesta terminaba todo el mundo danzando y comiendo con los actores. Y eso ha sido para ellos una maravilla. Entonces, el trabajo que hago y la metodología no es nada. La metodología que yo utilizo son mis alumnos, lo que ellos quieren decir, y yo con mi práctica teatral como actriz y profesora les doy todas las herramientas, y las herramientas son el trabajo de concentración, cómo estar en palco sin miedo, subirles siempre la autoestima, decir tú vas a lograr hacer todo lo que quieras. Y eso es el punto alto de mi trabajo, incluirlos y hacer con que se sientan protagonistas a su modo. Y cada uno es, porque lo hago eso de propósito, cada uno tiene su texto que han escrito, su memoria o sobre el tema que estamos trabajando, y después hay un trabajo de colectivo que he hecho en el principio, por el medio y al final. y ahí se sienten todos integrados. Otra cosa, como son seniors, nunca sabes cuándo se van a quedar enfermos, cuando tienen que ir a trabajar, a cuidar de los nietos, a viajar a ver los hijos que están fuera del país. Por eso yo hago los trabajos, porque por si acaso me falta alguno de ellos, el trabajo va a ser presentado de cualquier forma. Eso de las mujeres que vuelan ha sido durante el confinamiento y nadie iba a irse a la universidad para hacer clases, pero ellas han ido. Y yo dije, no, vamos a hacer el trabajo que vosotras queréis, y como han sido solo mujeres, ha sido muy majo, porque ha sido un trabajo en que cada mujer contaba su historia. Y yo vivo de las historias de mis alumnos. A partir de las historias que ellos tienen para contar, la memoria, el todo, es eso. Para terminar, os voy a decir una cosa sobre inclusión. Yo tenía esto todo para hablar, pero como estoy en español, entonces, voy a decir aquí. Todo el proceso va a depender de cómo el grupo trabaja conmigo, la profesora. El teatro como disciplina inclusiva ofrece a experiencia de criar y de arriesgar, ¿verdad? ¿Está bien? Arriesgar. A inclusión acontece cuando todos, nosotros somos de todos, participan. Miraren para cada uno, miraren para el otro. Cuando miramos el otro, eso es el deslumbramiento del ser humano. Quiero contribuir para una sociedad inclusiva que debería ser más justa y feliz para todos. Buen día.
Well, many thanks to Domitila and Monica Lara from Portugal. A big applause, please. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigado. Now it's time to share my experience with English through theatre. But a quick pause. Ya habréis notado en la pantalla que teníamos subtítulos para las presentaciones en otros idiomas. I might. Pero bueno, es una mañana interesante, una mañana, it's a moment like life, isn't it? Ups and downs, like theatre. Y esto, curiosamente, está muy conectado con mi presentación. How fitting. So, well, theatre in education, how it all started. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo ha empezado esto? Well, it's an Erasmus Plus collaboration, and the project is called UTEL, Using Theatre to Express Life Experiences. And so I was prompted with this challenge, and I said, okay, let's do it, because I'm very passionate about performing and theatre. But at the same time, I am very passionate about education. So I thought to myself, I have to create a course that can focus on... Yes, maybe I can do it myself with my body. Okay. That can center on the self. So it's student-centered. At the same time, that allows for the development of the inner self, the emotions, getting to know oneself a bit better. At the same time that it works on the soft skills, communication, creativity, solving problems, and working together. At the same time, as a teacher, I like my students to develop their own skills. Not only language skills, but ones that can allow them to be autonomous. And at the same time, that gives them a sense of a community, so that they can really feel that they work together. Well, there is one thing that I personally like, which is to introduce into my classes, which is retrieval practice, so that we avoid that that sense of, I forgot what I saw last week. So there has to be a sort of a constant recycling in the sessions. So I said to myself, I have too many things to put together, didn't I? But as every teacher, as I am sure every single one of you in the audience, you make it work, or we try. So I said, well, let's create something, but based on the premise that doing is the key to understanding. And John Dewey, who is a reference person in PBL, project-based learning, if you're working on a project, you have to know about this man. He brought his work from pragmatics into education. And then his disciple started by creating some principles on how to work on a project. And he said, okay, we learn by doing, that's one of the principles, but there has to be a continual learning. There has to be something that allows them to get competencies for lifelong learning. Learning doesn't stop with the project final performance. So, another principle, maybe I can just stretch a bit more, is interdisciplinary learning. And this means that even if I am teaching English, this is connected to so many other things. This is connected to arts as they create things. This is connected to literature as they read and as they get to know more about language. This is connected to history. This is connected to even physical education. It's all connected. And social interaction. We're social beings. We love interacting. And learning is much more fun when we interact. So, moving on, you might think, okay, so I have the principles, so how do I sequence this? How do I go from having nothing to a final performance in project-based learning? Well, back in the day, Kilpatrick, who is a disciple from Dewey, said, okay, I have a method. Do you know what? We're going to do a beginning that is going to be the purpose. We all need a purpose. We need to go somewhere. And then he said, we need a planning. You know, we need some planning. We have to say, okay, I'll need this, I'll need that. And then he said, well, we execute it. And finally, we have a judgment. We say how well it went. But we're teachers, right? We know that this is never a plan. We start in A, and we may go in a round circle to B, and then move on to M, and go back to J, and finally in Y, and we end up in the numbers, and we were working the alphabet, wasn't it? So, a more modern take on project-based learning, but now focus on language, is this one, from the University, well, I'll tell you the name of the university in a second. It's the University of Hawaii. It's a reference university in PBL. Well, they said, well, there's a launch of the project, building knowledge, developing a critique, and presenting final products. But they added the revision, because we know that learning has to go in cycles. And at this point, I have to tell you, well, our real learning path, like what really happens, is something like this, isn't it? We have some ups and downs, we have to go back, we have to recycle, And it's okay, don't worry. You're gonna be fine. Well, I am here, I'm a testimony of that. So, and you will be too. So, one thing that we do need to take care of is aligning the elements in project-based language learning. So, the student outcomes must align with the tasks, must align with the content knowledge. In our case, which is language, the skills and the systems, remember that the skills, we know them very well, writing, reading, speaking, listening, and mediation, and the systems, which are grammar, vocabulary, and phonology. And some authors also talk about discourse. And finally, our dear competencies for lifelong learning. National Foreign Language Resource Center for the University of Hawaii. They have very good resources, by the way. So, English through theatre started with getting to know about influential people, like people's lives. Then we moved on to talk about how their legacy had an impact on society and how we could get something out of them. Then we moved on to performing those one of these influential figures in history. And now we're moving on to using all that experience to create our own stories. Before we end, we give each other feedback, and we have then a final performance of one's autobiography. Now, remember, there are curves and turns and ups and downs. So, in terms of the content, we worked on the biography of Mahatma Gandhi, who told us about democracy, justice, social justice, and fighting for human rights. We talked about Harriet Tubman, who told us the power of freedom and how important it is to feel for others and help them. We talked about Jane Austen, who told us about our inner self and following who you want to be and fighting for what you want to do. And we also saw the story of Alan Turing, who is very dear to our hearts, as is the biography that we performed on a stage. But now the most important story is yet to come, who is their own story that they're going to write very soon. So the journey has taken us from day one, complete strangers, who somehow were there for a reason. They wanted to improve their English, they were not very sure what they were doing, to working together. They said, okay, let's do some language, okay, let's improve here and there. Oh, this is interesting, oh my God, Richard, really, this? To saying, well, okay, we might do some rehearsals, and it's fun. Yeah, we get a good laugh. To even unexpected rehearsals on the street. To say, let's loosen up. It doesn't matter if the people around us, if we don't care, right? To a day where there was a performance. And I created some monsters as they were thirsty for some audience's applause. However, our journey, as I said to you, continues. And I remind you, this might go up and down, or go back or forward, but it's one that I would repeat 1,000 times. And I want to thank my students for that. So thank you very much. Our next speakers will tell us how getting to know ourselves better can help us not only to improve our relationships with ourselves, but also make more meaningful connections with others around us. Please give a warm welcome to biographer, ghostwriter, and trainer in creative and professional writings, Karine Radburn, from France. Likewise, let's give a warm welcome to writer, drama teacher, dramaturg, Eddie Rathbun from the United Kingdom.
Merci beaucoup.
Right. Just remember, we're just ordinary holiday makers in Zaragoza.
I'm just an ordinary holiday maker in Zaragoza.
That's nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide.
If anyone approaches it, don't say anything. Got it? That is good. Just stop it. Yes, that's it. Bye. Okay.
I'm going to take the microphone
So,
because he's got a loud voice, not me.
no, I don't know. Maybe you can't hear me at the back. Can you hear me at the back? Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Right, I'd just like to say, as an introduction, theatre. How many people here has done theatre? It can be from the start in the primary school or in the infant school, in the nativity scene. You might have done the baptism donkey or no? How many people have played theatre in another language? Two.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, and you enjoyed it? Did you enjoy it? Yeah. Yes?
I'm not going to say no.
No, they're not.
I think you're interested in the subject. So let us present you the English Comedy Theatre.
Yes.
This is a company that Eddie created in 2007
2007.
in Bordeaux.
Comedy. In French we say like something. English, come Eddie.
That was a joke. Prepare to laugh, people.
All the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man each time.
Can you tell me why did you choose to teach English through theatre?
Yeah, I did English through theatre because one day I saw my daughter. I was in France, I couldn't speak a word of French. All I could say was to seduce a young lady was le train par-midi. The train leaves at midday, and there's no way to impress a woman. So that was it. No, I decided to create English comedy theatre because I saw my daughter. Because I saw my daughter. Are you following me? I saw my daughter play theatre in French, and for me it was something really special. And I thought this is a great way to learn a language using gestural movement and theatre. And it was so straight away I joined a French amateur theatre group, and I started doing Molière with my accent, Scanahead, and things like that. And I realised I could make people laugh, and this was wonderful because my education was pretty disastrous. I came from a working class family. My mother suffered from mental illness, and I can only remember one time in my life when my mother was normal. And that affected my schooling enormously, and all I wanted to do was to leave school. But I felt that there was something that I wanted to do, and I became a manual person in England, learning, never did French, never did theatre, too frightened to do theatre. But I was just working manually, and then it just clicked. By seeing my daughter do this, I was working in cultural centres near Bordeaux, and one girl said to me, "Et si on fait du théâtre?"
And what if we play theatre?
I said, "Huh?" Okay. So I said, okay. I went home. My God, I've never written a thing in my life. So I wrote a one-act theatre play for children of 8 to 10, 11 years old, and with very exaggerated characters, like Mr. Whip. Mr. Whip, the propriétaire, the owner of the cafe called Whip's Restaurant. Now, whip, I mean, or whip, okay? But it's very authoritative.
Yeah, we don't have time.
Okay, so we have Miss Fidget and Miss Fidget.
Anyway, we decided to teach through theatre, but also using humor. Why?
Yes. Humor is a great barrier breaker, do we all agree? I think. And if you are timid, which I am, it helps enormously. And
You are timid?
Sorry?
You are timid. Why are you timid? No, okay, we won't go into the details. So anyway, he is using humor. And we've got 2 students here who have been with us for quite a long time. What have you discovered? Because you are teaching to kids, adolescents, adults, and senior. What have you observed for this category of
okay,
students?
well I can repeat and say that it promotes confidence. Humour breaks down the barriers of timidity, and everybody has fun. Everybody has fun, and it's the first steps towards public speaking, which is very important for people. There are so many people hiding behind the others because they do not have the confidence to go ahead and project themselves.
So you mean zero, and to say enthusiasm means zero learning.
Yes, zero enthusiasm means zero learning.
So we've been using this method through different Erasmus projects. We created innovative pedagogies, but this year for UTEL we decided to add the biography inside, because the main theme of UTEL is social inclusion. So to create social inclusion, we decided.
Yes. Yeah, we had a big problem at our school with teenagers. We had a perfect example of this yesterday. We were sitting having a beer, and this girl comes along with a cell phone like this, and there's a table. And it's we have a big problem here, so we have to try and take the phones away from them, but it's very difficult to take phones away from them. They don't want this. But if you can, the results are amazing, what you can get from teenagers. But it's not just the teenagers. It's addictive. Anyway.
Let's move on to biographies. So this is my part in this project, of course, because I've been a biographer for 17 years now. Not celebrities, common people, common lives. And most of the time when I arrive at my first meeting, the person will say, "Oh, that's my kids who ask for my biography. They want me to tell the story of my life, but my life has nothing special to tell." And that is wrong, because every one of us, we have something to tell. Our own history is part of the big history. So we have been through events. We have been through events. We have met different people. We have an experience of a society, and that it is important to transmit, but also important to focus on when you want to know who you are. Why are you this adult at this moment in time? What have you
Oh,
done?
sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
Why are you? How have you become this adult or this person at this moment in time? So for this social inclusion theme, we decided to create a workshop starting with biography. First, a workshop that would be an individual work. Thank you. This is my kid, by the way. It's my husband, but also my kid.
She's the boss.
Because I think if you want to meet others, it's important to know who we are before opening to others. So the workshop starts with a small personal work where people will have to reflect on the important dates of their life first. We all have important dates. And then of the people who had an impact on our life. It could be somebody from the family, from the surrounding friends, but also celebrities or historic people or scientists or whatever. And then they will, I'm going too fast. So I'm giving, if you want this PowerPoint, I will send it to you. So anyone who is interested, please give me your email and we'll send you something more detailed to do this workshop. This is a short presentation. So first you will, for example, this is my line of life. I decided to put my birthday. I know I don't look like it. Yeah.
First day of spring.
Then June 1995, August 24, December 2005, sorry, 2007, 2013. This is my big dates. And why? So the students now have to fill in and express why that is important. My date of birth, of course, it's important. 1985, I graduated, and that's why I came to Bordeaux, because I'm not originally from Bordeaux. And this was an important point, because I was 18 and now I'm 25 and I'm still living in Bordeaux.
But you got prizes for disco dancing in Bordeaux.
No, this is not in the line. All right. Then August 2004, I'm now an adult, but I also got to divorce. I don't want to speak about what has come between the two dates. I just want to share the main dates of my life. Because in 2004, I'm not with my family anymore. I have to become independent. And in 2005, I made this one. Freedom for only 1-2 years, no more. Crazy.
I was the same.
Yeah, I know. We don't want to talk about you. It's me for once. And but then, why this date is important? Because now is my husband, number 2. But also because we helped each other to take a different path in our life. Before him, I wouldn't dare being a writer. It was because of him that I became a writer, and that's because of me that he created English comedy theatre. All right, so that's an important date. In 2013, that was our first Erasmus project. That is important. And today, of course, because we are so happy to be here in Zaragoza. So this is an example, all right? But after that, of course, we have to decide which person was important in my life. So, of course, my family, I have 2 brothers, father, mother, that's okay. And then Eddie. Nice, huh? So nice. That's my husband, he's so handsome. Who are you? And then Erasmus. And so let the participant choose the picture they want to help them focus on their own life. All right? This is the first part of the workshop. After that, so this is an individual workshop. And then they will have to get together around a table and decide which part of the line they want to share. Okay? Just when they are doing this exercise, a lot of anecdotes come to their mind. Oh, I remember when I was in the dance club, or when I was meeting this girl, or whatever. A lot of anecdotes come. When they are together around the table, they will decide to share one anecdote, telling who they are, the one they want to share, and then all together they're going to write a sketch, a little sketch. This sketch, the person who had the anecdote will be the director of the sketch. This person will take her own life on her own hand and can play God. If they want to change the outcome of the anecdote, they can. All right? And the other participant will play their role, the role of the bearer of the story. Yeah, the bearer of the story. I think I've got something, yeah. So I've got the bearer of the story, the participants, and of course the audience. So this is a mixing of one anecdote, a sharing, and we will do this with every participant. And at the end, we will have a performance sharing parts of lives of the people who would have become close by sharing all these parts of their lives. So this is our workshop, right? So if you want this with more detail, we have a planned lesson for that, all right? And that's it. For us, theatre is still the main tool to gain confidence, to share with people, and we hope to illustrate that once again, because we've been working on that for a lot of years now. We hope we will share that with this project. Okay? Very, yeah.
What I found time and time again was that a lot of adolescents came being pushed into our theatre by their parents because their notes were a catastrophe. Okay? And within a few months, not even weeks, the notes of their at school shot up like that because it became evident doing theatre, the things they were learning in school, sitting behind a desk, you know.
Remember, it was in
Lale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's shouting, "Playing for learning!" Voilà.
So, dare to do theatre. Dare doing, dare to do, dare, enfin. Allez, jouez, faites du théâtre, quoi, mince.
So, knock yourself out.
Many thanks to Corinne and Eddie. Please, a big applause. It is time now to introduce our next speaker. She is here to remind us that learning is connected to our emotions and that stories are more powerful when we engage emotionally with them. Please give the warmest of welcomes to the stage to English lecturer and teacher trainer from the United States, Dr. Jessica Toro.
Good morning. I don't think I need a mic. No, I'm fine. I'm not going to be performing. Anyway, good morning. My session is a little bit dramatic or emotional. Okay, can I have the... Leave me alone?
about teaching. We cannot get them emotional if I'm not emotional. I can't get you to be emotional unless I do something that makes you feel. So, today, my session is going to be a little bit different because you're going to stand up and you're going to participate. But that also means that we're also going to feel what our students feel. A lot of times we forget that our students suffer from shyness, anxiety. Oh, please don't make me talk in class, please, please. Especially the first couple of days when we don't know who we're talking to. Therefore, we're going to do our first story. And our first story is what we call a total physical response, a TPR story. So I'm going to ask you, I promise you, you don't have to say anything. I just want you to stand up and make little circles with the people you feel more comfortable with. Can I ask you to stand up, please? Make little circles. Nobody wants it. What? Okay, make a little circle. Fantastic. Okay, first group. A prize. Catch. Oh. Only one per group, sorry. Good. Could you pass there to those groups? Fantastic. Now, this is a story. You don't have to pay attention to the end of the story, but you do have to participate in the sense that whenever you hear the word right, take the sweet and give it to the person on the right. Whenever you hear the word left, you take a sweet and give it to the person on the left. Fantastic. You probably are better than I am at this. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Just to check, raise your right hand. Right hand. Raise your left hand. And if you're not sure, just push the person next to you. Are we ready?
Okay, ready? Mrs. Wright was a teacher.
Did you go to the right? Good.
It was the end of the school year, and right then and there was only one thing left for Mrs. Wright to do with her class. It was time for the class party. There was just one problem. Mrs. Wright left all the snacks at home. Mrs. Wright called Mr. Wright and said, "I need you to come right away. I left something at home, all right?" Said Mrs. Wright. What do you need right away?" "I left the red bag with all the snacks. I left it on the table. But I need it right now." Mr. Wright found the bag right where Mrs. Wright left it. Mr. Wright rushed right out of the door. He leapt into his car and drove right toward the school. There was on the left, he made a left, and then immediately another left. And left Mrs. Wright at school. Finally, everything was all right. Everyone left the snacks. Everyone ate the snacks on the table. And everything was all right. All right?
nodding. All right. Now, how do you feel? Do you feel a little bit more comfortable?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you feel all right? Fantastic. So, when we talk about theater, everybody thinks it's a massive production. But theater is not only about massive production, it's also about feelings, emotions, showing emotions, isn't it? And the great thing about showing emotions that Stephen Krashen, linguist, he talks about affective filters. Affective filters are basically an invisible wall that we build up. And I've been living, by the way, I live here in Zaragoza. I married a Maño, so I know what it's like to be Maño in Zaragoza. One of the things that I learned was vergüenza ajena. And no other language has with the same meaning as it does in Spanish. No other language. Japanese has something like avergonzado, yeah? But no other language has it. So you have a culture that you're very talkative when you're on the line of whatever in the bar. But when it comes to speaking another language, you can be very shy, right? And that's okay. I mean, I grew up in New York. Broadway was, our playground. So Americans, and I'm not going to talk about Trump, Americans tend to be a little bit more dramatic, right? Maybe it's Hollywood, Broadway, whatever. But Stephen Krashen talks about bringing those affective filters down. Those affective filters make language learning much easier. If you feel anxiety, if you're not motivated, if you don't have self-esteem, because this would be a normal conversation, the first day of class in Zaragoza. How are you? And everybody has to say something about them. And instead of we listening to what the other person is saying, we're actually saying, oh, que bien habla español, right? Oh, que pronunciación más mala. So, we have to work. Stephen Krashen talks about bringing those affective filters down. The higher they are, less information gets in. The lower they are, more information gets in. Now, we did the first story. Does anybody actually remember what the story was about? Did you feel better when you sat down? Were you smiling more? So that means that your affective filters have gone down. That means that more information is going to go in. Okay? So stories are a great way of dealing with that self-confidence, that anxiety, that motivation. Imagine the first day of class you go and you're smiling and you have a sweet. A sweet always helps, sugars always help. But that doesn't mean that the stories always have to be happy. How many of you love English 18th century literature? But we can make it fun. Okay, so what stories do we like personally? Do we like the love affairs, the romance, the comedies, the science fiction? Has a lot to do with it. What kind of stories do you do in class? Do you do short stories, long stories, plays, sketches? Do your students like stories? I teach in a primary school, so my students love stories. Now they can hear the same story again and again. Now, what is a story? You can use a book, you can tell a story, you can read a story, it doesn't really matter. But if our objective is the English, remember that if we add a little emotion to it, if we identify with that language, we will use the language more. Okay, so let's get you emotion with a story. I'm going to stand up because I keep turning around. By the way, I don't drink. Right? So, things to ask. emotional. Let's do it again. All right, ready? These words, an 18-year-old woman drowned herself.
Oh my God,
We're
you're
getting
kidding
better.
me.
We're getting better. Her name was? And you have to say, who? The pregnant wife of? The romantic poet Percy Shelley, age 22. This is a true story, by the way. After he had? What?
What did he do?
What did he do?
What did he do?
What do you think he
What
did?
did he do?
Another lover.
Okay, we're getting, you notice how you're getting emotional? After he had eloped to Italy. Why do you think he eloped to Italy? He eloped means he escaped.
Because she was rich and
With another? With his 16-year-old lover!
wow.
Thank you. Kill the bastard, she said. Very good. And who is Mary Godwin? Soon to be the future author of? Oh, so you know the story. Creating a need for language. How are you feeling now? Are some of you angry?
Yeah.
Kill the bastard. Mary Shelley, are you thinking about the book Frankenstein, the film that you actually liked, and then all of a sudden, oh, I don't like her anymore?
No.
Anybody feeling that? No?
Yeah.
You know? What happens? I wish you had a mirror in front of you. All of you were hanging on to the story. Your faces. Your whole faces were different. Why? Because all of a sudden you got into the story and it touched your heart. For good or for bad, but it made you feel. So when we think about our students in class, right? We think about them as far as paying attention. Are they listening? Yeah. If you notice, the way I presented the story, it wasn't a text. I broke down the text so I can make them pause to get them emotional. Yeah. It's not about just reading the story. It's about going into the story. All of a sudden, students are waiting. They're anticipating for what's about to happen. Right? Was the story long? No. And you're like, yeah, but this was, 18th century. But doesn't that happen today? Or should I mention Jennifer Aniston, Brad Pitt, and Angela Jolie?
Yeah.
Was it not the same story? So the same story does repeat itself. It could be Mary Shelley or it could be Jennifer Aniston, right? Okay, ready? Anybody want to yell out any of the words? Bastard, yeah, bastard one, and continue. Any other words? You can say it in Spanish if you have to. Any, oh, you're too shy. Well, horrible. Yeah.
Voy por tabaco.
You went to get cigarettes. And bye-bye, David. Yeah. Anything else? We would say, I think there's a word that you're thinking. In English, translation would be the son of the prostitutes? No? Yeah? That's what you would say in Spanish. You wouldn't say that in English. But anyway, a chance to get emotional with the language. Because a lot of times in class, we're all happy and positive, but sometimes we need to be angry. And it's much more memorable if we actually get to use the language. Yeah? If we get to use the language, then it becomes memorable. Okay, now, how did Mary Godwin feel when she was told about Harriet? Anything else? Guilty. A monster, yes. Monster. You know, don't you would say in Spanish, wouldn't you say zorra? Wouldn't you? So, do you know we have the same word in English? But it's not the same word. Do you know that in English, a fox is a compliment? But in Spanish, it's not. Now, laughter, what you just did, laughter, also means that you're taking that short-term memory and making it long-term memory. You're going to remember the first time you used the word whatever in English. You're going to remember where you were, who you were with, and how you used it. So that's taking that short-term activity and making it long-term and making it usable. The News was given to Percy by Lord Byron. We all know who Lord Byron was. What did he say to Percy? Now, this would be Percy, but this is somebody go, bleh. I'm thinking America, cattle, horses, cows, well, you know, for the cows to come home. And I'm asking him, what does that mean? And he said, he asked me how I was. And I said, good. So of course, language comes with culture. And there is much more memorable things when we unite our body with the language. And there's no headway English file book that teaches the difference between body and language and just language. So, the fantastic thing about theater is you get to do that. So remember, body and language means better language learners. And with this, I think my time is up. So if you have any questions, anybody wants to ask me any questions, Spanish or English, that's fine. And if not, thank you very much.
Please, one more time, give a big round of applause to Dr. Jessica Torres. Well, it's just about time to make a quick pause. Haremos una pequeña pausa de unos 35 minutos, ¿vale? Por la parte de afuera nos está esperando un pequeño coffee de cortesía del Patronato Municipal de Educación y Bibliotecas.